Welcome everybody. Brachim habayim. Ayom anachnu lomdim ivrit biachad. So I see that there's already a lot of conversation. Zevel said, "Be ready. This ain't gonna be easy today." Zevel, do you like video games, or is Gamer your last name? I've been wondering about this for a while because there's lots of people who have thus and such gamer. Um, Hi Ryan, hi Euromaestro, hi Danishi, hi to everybody. I see already some. Oh, hi Cheryl, hello, hello. I see some discussion about the seventh day of each week. Um, Shabbat is Saturdays on the Gregorian calendar, and Sunday, as we'll see when we get to it in this textbook, is the first day, Yom Rishon. Um, Volume's really low. Hold on. Is this a problem that everybody else is having? I'm trying to talk into my mic. Let me make sure that's correct. What did I say? Oh, I should say anachnu. What is it? Lamed, we will. Nilmod, Ivrit. I haven't learned the future yet. Minerva, hello. All right, lots to learn. Obviously, a lot left to do. Can anybody confirm for me that my volume is low, or is that just a Luca problem? Let me know, and I'll try and fix it. And you should be able to let me know faster because I have gotten rid of the constraints. So you do have to be a subscriber to comment, but you can comment as much as you want, and I will just try to keep up. We'll see how well that goes. Tal says hello, Erev Tov. Erev Tov, back to you. I guess it's afternoon here for me. Very low. Let me see what's going on with this. Do do do. Audio input should be really high. Let's try again. How about now? How about now? How about now? Hannah says fine with the sound. It's like the perpetual challenge of being a YouTuber. So it sounds like for most people the volume's fine, and Euro Maestro and Luca, you may need to turn your volume up. I don't know. This is a hobby for me. I need tech support. I need a second person. All right, so yeah, I've been studying a little bit. So my wife and I have been studying. We're using the colloquial Hebrew textbook. I will kind of keep this going along. Zevel, thank you for the transliteration. So Ayom anachnu nilmad ivrit, and I noticed you said Ayom instead of Hayom. That's something that I wanted to talk about today. For those of you who don't follow them, you should check out Piece of Hebrew. I like them a lot. If you're learning Hebrew, they're fantastic. They do have their own product. I haven't tried it. I don't know if it's any good, but their videos are informative and good. And it's just nice to hear them talking. And one of the things that I noticed on the last one that I watched from them is that all of those H's, all of those H's, that I learn in a textbook, or you see when you're studying Hebrew on, I don't know, whatever, Duolingo textbook, whatever it is. Nobody says those. They say them sometimes, but they really tend to disappear. I think I talked about this last week, that H's are just some other sound on its way out of the language. It might take 1,000 years, but H's, on a long enough time scale, just disappear. And this is one of those. So it was like, there's just a lot of stuff that I was noticing. It was like Ayom, and I guess she said Ma. She actually had a glottal stop. So somebody who was it? Tal? Was it Tal? No, Danish. Is it Danishi or Danishur? Like Chinese shur. So Hebrew loses its glottal sounds. It doesn't. It doesn't. In that, she said, "What time is it?" And she actually had a glottal stop instead of an H. Instead of ma hasha'a, it was ma asha. Maybe it's sha. I don't know what the word for time is yet, but it was ma a with a glottal stop and then an A and not an H. This is important. Lorem ipsum has said only in unstressed syllables. Yeah, this is something that as I'm listening to things, especially, I mean, I will say that the Duolingo Hebrew voices are notoriously difficult. Back when they had comments enabled on Duolingo, you would see like all sorts of discussion about the voices. Now they got the comments gone, but it is everybody I know who's studying with that has a hard time understanding the female speaker in particular. And for me, I look at it as a challenge of thinking about how fast speech gets reduced. But I see all the stuff like one of the words in the video that I was just watching was to begin. And I naively would have thought that that was like lehatchil. And instead, it's like latchil. I know my accent's going to need work. That's what we're all here for. But it's crazy to me, like the reduction in number of syllables as well. So the H goes away, the vowels coalesce, and you get something new. It's just language change. It's just how it works. So very cool stuff. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna see that my second screen is up. We're gonna jump in. I've been using, for those of you new to this, welcome. I see a lot of familiar names typing here. But if you're watching and you're new, my name's Dr. Taylor Jones. I have my degree from the University of Pennsylvania in sociolinguistics, which is not language study and second language acquisition, but that is a hobby of mine that I enjoy. And what I've been doing with the live streams is studying languages. Right now, I've been looking at modern Hebrew, and on Mondays, Levantine Arabic. And I have been using the Routledge Colloquial book, Routledge Colloquial Hebrew. Digitally, I am using the first edition, but here, I'll give you the title page here. In the real world and on Saturdays, I'm using the physical copy of the second edition. I have a link for anybody who wants to follow along. I see some discussion of hey pronounced at the end of a word. Yeah, we're gonna get there. And I see Dani says leatchil. Yeah, with the chil, like a little lower even. So last week I talked about reading and writing. I think I talked a little bit about Unit 2, which is Peter arrives in Israel. The whole thing, the conceit of this particular one is that it is you're following Peter Green, who has just arrived in Tel Aviv and is like seeing what people are up to. He's a journalist, and I believe, if I remember, he's from Oxford. So ask me to say those things in Hebrew. I'm not sure I can, but I definitely remember the content of the discussion. Now, I tend to use Anki for memorizing things. You can use whatever you like. I will probably make a few Anki cards here. I might not make a whole lot because, again, my wife and I, Ishti, we're doing this together, and so I want to make sure that I'm not like, outpacing the Anki deck that she makes. So if you're there, if you're watching, which sometimes she is, hello, I love you. She is watching because I see everybody says the volume is fine, except for, my father-in-law is watching, and he tells me that my volume is low. So I don't know. I got Zevel and Tal. I'm good. Don, you're a linguistics student currently, and you have a phonetics exam this Tuesday. Good luck. Now's as good a time as any to just take a moment and talk about, are you a grad student in linguistics? Because phonetics, we had exams where it was like, here's a spectrogram, write down the sentence. Thankfully, it was all in English, but I have heard horror stories of places like UCLA having phonetics exams where they give you a spectrogram and you were supposed to transcribe an IPA, like whatever the language is, and it's not necessarily always English. So I hope you're not dealing with something like that, but good luck if you are. And just know that in the real world, you are never, ever reading a spectrogram with no knowledge of what language it is and trying to figure out, what was said. So, okay, I will try to speak directly into the mic for those of you who are having a hard time. Okay, Dani, good luck. I like phonetics a lot, so enjoy. But if it's, like I said, hopefully what you're doing is not that, like, here's a spectrogram, write it down. and you don't even know what language it is. So maybe we'll use in honor of Danny's like phonetics exam, we'll do a little use of prot to sort of analyze what we're listening to here. I'm going to play some of the audio when we do this. So this is Unit 3, Afshal Hibagesh, which is can we meet? I see in the chat Hannah is actually pronounced Chana, similar to Dutch G. I love all the different transliteration styles, and sometimes for fun, I will just transliterate things like, use a Dutch transliteration. I think I made a video a while ago where I had Janice as Hanukkah because, if you're transliterating from Yiddish and not Hebrew, it's one valid way of doing so using Spanish orthography. All right, let's dive in. Efshali Bagesh. So again, what I like to do for these is if you're studying along, you should know that I'm not going to do everything in the book. I think that might be some manner of copyright violation. But I am, encouraging you to buy the book if you're going to use it. And what I like to do is look at what they're actually going to teach. Think strategically about like what is the content of this chapter. I've already looked over the whole book, so what they do is they kind of say like if you see on the side, my sidebar here, I have can we meet? It's a very popular restaurant, family and plans. Those are like social topics, and that's fine. That's the way that they kind of get you interested in what they're teaching. But in reality, there's an order for the grammar of the language that they're trying to teach here as well. Now, I believe in the new edition of the book, they actually use the traditional terminology. This one, you will see, it says verbs, the present tense, group 1. This is just a weird quirk of the older edition of this textbook. The new edition, pretty sure they say like pa'al verbs. Maybe they say kal verbs, but it's those are names for the binyanim. So for those of you who are new to Hebrew, it has conjugation paradigms that are a little bit different than European languages. For instance, there's 7 of them that are referred to as binyanim. A binyan is the singular, and we start with the most common one in the present tense. Now, if it were up to me and I were designing a course, I wouldn't start that way because the most common one in the present tense is this like, symphony of phonological exceptions that mask the underlying order for the pattern. And I think if you learn some of the other ones first, if you learn PL and, hifil and, hitpael verbs first, then you can start to see the patterns, the phonological patterns in the pa'al verbs. At least that's what it took for me to start seeing it, was seeing other binyanim and going, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So what we'll do is some prepositions, some time words, how to ask how someone is. I see Zevel hasn't learned binyanim since the 6th grade. And the numbers. We're gonna have fun with the numbers. That's gonna be brute force memorization when we get to the numbers, and they're here. So some time words: how to ask how someone is, talking about whether something is or isn't possible, plus the Hebrew infinitive. So that's nice. All verbs and relative pronoun, and then cardinal numbers 1 through 20, which is a mind melting thing for speakers of non-Semitic languages. Learning them in Semitic languages. It's just as bad in Arabic. So what I like to do is instead of looking at the dialogue and listening to that first, I like looking at what the words are we're going to be learning, getting a handle on that. Normally, I might dump these into Anki for memorization purposes. I will hold off on that for Chaim Sheli, so that we can do that together. And then we'll continue. And by the way, speaking of, I'm pretty sure when I asked, I'm addressing you directly now. When I asked you about the second edition of the book, you told me there was not an accent on the first syllable of Yofi when reading it. So there's some differences in the editions of the book, and I think the second edition is probably better, but does seem to have a few typos that are new typos, which is weird. So we can get some help, some corrections. But I have medaber. He speaks, which the roots are I want to say DBR, but it's Daled Beit Resh. We have mashlomcha, which there's a grammar note about. And the way that these work is they have a dialogue, they have transliteration, which they get rid of in later chapters, and you have to go to the back of the book for it. They have translation, vocabulary, and then a bunch of grammar points and exercises. The exercises introduce new material, so it's worth doing those as well. And we're going to kind of see how we go today. So we have mashlomcha, we have tov, toda, which I think is a highly unusual response. I have never heard anyone say this. I've heard all sorts of other things. I see Parsa says, I think Persian is more euphonious. I like Hebrew and Farsi for different reasons. I do find the melody of Farsi beautiful, Persian just beautiful. Hebrew I like for the same reasons, and this is going to sound weird, but I mean this in the best possible way. And if you've seen my other videos, you probably know about this. I like Hebrew for the same reasons I like Klingon. It's just a fun inventory of sounds put together in a challenging way, in my mind. Okay. I hear that often in the Pimsleur Hebrew course. Yeah, medaber is PL. That's correct. Danny has pointed out that they say they're going to teach Pa'al verbs, and the first thing they do is teach you a verb that is not that binyan. It is the second binyan, not the first. They kind of gloss over that. They're like, don't worry about it. And somebody could tell me what lipagesh is. Is that a hifil? I don't know what it is. There's a lot going on here. So, tov toda. For the native Hebrew speakers, you could leave us maybe some more realistic responses. I see, what is that, sababa? I've heard beseder gamur. I've heard Baruch Hashem. I've heard all sorts of things, including, starting a litany of complaints about like, well, I didn't sleep well last night. My back's been bothering me, but, I'm here. So we have other things. Kfar, already. Matai, when. Efshar, it is possible to meet. So this is just familiarizing ourselves with this. They start with one number here, b'sheva, and then we're going to see when we actually, use these in terms of time. Beseder, metsuyan, that is easy to remember because the Mets are excellent. Let's go Mets. Or at least the Mets aspire to excellence. Why don't we say that? And great is Yofi. So let's go back. Let's actually listen to this, and then for Dani, we will we'll do this in Prat and look at the spectrograms and see some interesting stuff. So the conversation is going to be, hello, Maya, it's Peter speaking. So great. Know how to say things on the phone. Hello, how are you? Fine, thanks. Where are you? I'm now here in Israel, which is not how I'd say it. This is written for a British audience. They say, I'm already here in Israel. I'd say, like, I'm here in Israel already. So however you want to kind of map that to English. And then, let's see, I'm at the Sheraton Hotel, which we saw before. I don't think Sheraton sponsored this book, but they do get a lot of shout-outs. When can we meet? Literally, is it possible to? We can meet this evening at my office at 7. Is that okay? Yes, excellent. See you this evening. Great. See you later. So now we know what we're looking at. I'm perfectly happy to use transliteration here, and I'm going to pull up the audio. So let's see. I have all my audio stuff here. I think that's like track...
Unit 2.
Nope. Let's see. Track...
Did you hear how Peter and Bob...
I didn't.
The word for I, dialogue 2.
Nope. Okay.
Peter meets... Now answer these questions. Dialogue 3.
Here we go.
Did you hear how...
Closing in.
Role play.
Role play.
This
They got rid of her in the audio for the second edition, I'm told. So it might be worth comparing the audio.
Unit 3.
אפשר להיפגש?
All right, let's... I'm not going to play this directly in Prat first because that's just awful. I will play it on Audacity. Normally what I would do is break these up and dump them into an Anki deck, and I can show you all how to do that in a moment as well. I seem to have opened a million Finder windows in my other monitor. All right, let's see. Libagesh is Nifal. The one you learned like last. Okay, I see Sababa. Nice. There's a restaurant in D.C. named Sababa. There's also a cookbook by Adina Sussman named Sababa. How come they never seem to use Nikud when teaching Hebrew to adults? Even if you graduate not using them, it's extremely helpful. ASB, I agree completely. I don't know why. I don't know. They should. Let's see. I see somebody says it's not reliable. Fair. Okay. All right. Man, it's great conversation happening here. At what context would you put stress on the second? Oh, you're talking about Yofi versus Yofi? We're going to... We'll figure that out. All right, let's see what we have here. I don't know what this sound is going to be. Probably a buzzer. Okay, let's find out.
Unit 3.
אפשר להיפגש?
Can we meet? Dialogue 1. Peter is a journalist writing a book about Israel.
Or so he says.
He speaks some Hebrew and is planning to travel around the country to gather material. His guide, Maya, is a radio journalist who has been asked to help him. Having arrived in Israel, Peter is now keen to get going and contacts Maya at her office.
Why do we need to hear him dialing the number?
שלום מאיה, מדבר פיטר.
שלום, מה שלומך?
טוב, תודה.
איפה אתה?
אני כבר פה בארץ, במלון שרתון בתל אביב. מתי אפשר להיפגש?
אפשר להיפגש הערב במשרד שלי. ב7, זה בסדר?
כן, מצוין.
אז להתראות הערב.
יופי, להתראות.
Okay, we're gonna look at these H's. Let's see.
שלום מאיה, מדבר פיטר.
We have hello Maya. It's Peter speaking. So that's like, speaking is Peter. Fine. We're gonna have. I see Yofi is not a word. All right.
שלום, מה שלומך?
And Yoda, this is a linguistics channel. We're just talking about language. Whatever your political sentiments are, that's great. Say them to me in Hebrew, and if you can't do that yet, then let's learn some language together, and we can also learn how to say it in Arabic tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time.
טוב, תודה.
So, tov, toda.
טוב, תודה.
איפה אתה?
Let's look at this. This is something that I find particularly interesting. So I'm a little annoyed that they do this with the fake phone voice. I'm going to export this as a wave audio, and we're going to look at this. The phone voice thing is kind of annoying, but this is fine. Track 19. I'm just going to put this on my desktop, and we'll open it in Prot. Or let's see. I'll just do it in the colloquials audio, so it's easy to find. All right, so I'm going to open this with Prot. And I want to see what's going on with syllable structure. So Dani, again, this is for you. I really like the robust discussion about Yofi and Yofi. I've only heard Yofi, but I also learned it from this textbook, so that's not really helpful. Let's see, sound 19, track 19, view and edit. Oh no, I exported the whole thing. Let me not do that. Let me remove that object. Let me just export the selected sound.
טוב, תודה.
And then she asks, איפה אתה?
איפה אתה?
I can almost sort of hear all the syllables there, but I'm not 100% sure there. So 19 track 19. Let's take a look. It's from the book.
איפה אתה?
That's what I'm looking for. Open with Prot. View and edit. Okay. So we got like fake phone noise on it, whatever. Sampling's fine. For those of you who are unfamiliar with a waveform and spectrogram, the top is the waveform. This is left channel and right channel. It's stereo audio. They're the same. And the big parts are where the sound waves are more wavy. No, they're like, it's more pressure. It's louder. It's literally like more sound. The smaller parts are the quiet parts. This little squiggly bit is noise. Probably an F, actually almost certainly an F. And then the bottom is a fast Fourier transform output where what you have is the like the sort of frequencies that are prominent over time. So this is used by linguists all the time, especially doing phonetics. See all sorts of discussion for. Wow. Okay, lots going on. I'm not sure I can keep up today. I may implement like a little bit of gating next time. So what I want to say is just a couple things. One, we can look at what the vowels are here. We can look at how they change. If you want to, you can use you can change the spectrogram slightly to see like the pulses better, to see what the vowels are better. A couple of things here. One, I have I think this is just the F. Yeah. This, so efota, first of all, I mean, it's even transliterated, I think, as EY. This is a very, very steady state vowel. If you look at these dark lines here, they're basically horizontal across. So it's not A, like we would say in English. It is definitely like much more steady state. It's E. That is something that we talked about this last week, where some of her examples of sounds where she's like, it's like the U in put. It's not like the U in put, but the U in put is just and not like ooh for native English speakers. So I can see how Hebrew speakers might hear one as closer to Hebrew because it's not a diphthong. So we have efo, and it's supposed to be efo ata. I learned this, right? You read the book, you see efo ata. There's no glottal stop separating them. There's no wa, so ifo, and the is like just barely here, right? This is 44 milliseconds, less than that. So what this means is, for me, like if I say efo ata, it's fine, it's probably understandable, but it's definitely an accent. And what I hear from her sounded a lot like 3 syllables. It looks a lot like 3 syllables. Efota. So foata, like fota, very hard for me to navigate. I'm not going to have like a native accent when I'm done, but I do want to hear it and like attune my ears to it. That's. Oh wow. I think I hallucinated the O at the end. She's saying ifata, ifata. So here's a fun fact. Somebody said Fourier transform. Thank you, Logan. 100% correct. It is a Fourier transform. It is definitely produced with the fast Fourier algorithm, but that is in fact irrelevant to the output. So thank you for that. Mulm Abani says don't aspirate in Hebrew. I'm trying, and I don't see a lot here. Although a little bit, maybe. No, not really. The aspiration. Dead giveaway of a native English speaker. Now I hear this.
Efota.
I hear it as efota. I almost heard it as like not having the and ata, but what I'm actually hearing when I listen to just the vowel. First of all, can we talk about the pitch? That's fa. Efota.
Efota.
Man, that is a lot. Let's look at the intensity, and then I promise I'll move away from the spectrograms in a moment. But I just like looking at this. So we got this at the bottom, 3 syllable prominences, and let's look at the pitch. So we get this high prominence here, and then everything kind of drops down to her modal voice here. You can actually see the little lines there are the regular periodic oscillation. So this is like super high pitch and then drops down.
Efota.
If anybody asks me where I am, I'll recognize it now.
Efota.
Even if they slur their words. So I just think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to do digging into the actual phonetics here. And let's take a look at some other stuff. So talking about להיפגש. I'm guessing there's no H's there. Let's find out.
אני כבר פה בארץ, במלון שרתון בתל אביב.
My T needs improvement. Okay, I understood.
אני כבר פה בארץ, במלון שרתון בתל אביב. מתי אפשר להיפגש?
Let me ask for those of you who say my tea needs work. Too much aspiration. Should it be dental? Should it be like ata, ata? Like, or is it further back in the mouth? Somebody give me some advice. Dr. Jones is my main beef with the Academy of the Lashon. They insist that they're all and not a diphthong, even when followed by yud. Crush. Whoa, even when followed by yud. Oh, okay. I will say, I really like modern Hebrew. I really like modern Hebrew pronunciation. I love it. There are certain songs where I just feel like you need the the Ashkenazi pronunciation. So and the most Ashkenazi pronunciation. So the sort of interland Yiddish pronunciation. So I'm thinking Kol ha'olam kiloi, right? Like instead of Kol ha'olam kulo. Danny says it's alveolar. Zevel said sounded good. So ata ata, which better or worse? We're gonna do like an eye test. So number 1 or number 2? Ata ata. Alveolar. Ata ata. Efata. Efata. I'm aspirating again. Efata. This is why I have a hard time separating the syllables when I'm listening, is because the aspiration or lack thereof is a main cue that I actually use in English for separating words. For some reason, French, no problem. Hebrew, problem. So it's going to take a little work. All right, this is still 19 track 19 because I'm just exporting them with the same name because I'm deleting them. So we're coming back to Prat. We're going to view and edit, and I'm curious about Libagesh. I'm guessing I should not aspirate my P's and my K's either.
מתי אפשר להיפגש?
Okay, I still have my intensity, my pitch. מתי אפשר? So this is the sh. Donnie, you should recognize that. It's high. It's turbulence high in the frequency range.
אפשר להיפגש? אפשר להיפגש?
So this looks like an L because it's a little bit lighter. This is a P. And the sh is going on forever. This is a long word.
להיפגש, להיפגש, להיפגש.
Lipagesh, right? Let's isolate that syllable. Lipagesh. It looks almost like there's a little climb here. So lipagesh. But I'm not sure. All right. Just checking in with Chaim Sheli. What are some, Zevel, Tal, anybody who speaks Hebrew, what are some pet names? Because I have all these in Persian. I talk about my daughter with her name June or Mush Musham. I've heard Chaim Sheli, but what else? What else do I have? What else can I do here? I see a lot of chat. Dental T is an allophone in Hebrew, but the phoneme is alveolar. Okay. So what, for those of you not used to the phonetic discussion, we're talking about where exactly the tip of my tongue should be touching in my mouth to make a T. And I assume it's the tip and not the blade or anything like that. So tip of the tongue, I see motek. Okay, motek, chaim sheli, motek, neshama sheli. Okay, I don't know why I'm saying them like they're Persian. I'm like neshama sheli. I'm gonna mix them up and I'm gonna speak Hebrew like it's Persian. Hopefully people like that because I can already see it happening now. Okay, so dental, alveolar is further back. So neshama sheli, what is that? Matt, I don't know Hebrew, man. I'm trying to learn. I don't have vowels there. Chaim sheli is feminine. It sounds like a joke, and stay on the ch for an hour. Does the ch? That's just joking. It's not stereotyped as feminine, but the phrase is stereotyped as feminine. Motek, sweetness. So matok. Aha. Okay. Neshama sheli, I gotta say, I like that, and it corresponds exactly to Junam in Farsi. So who doesn't? Barbour is swan. Is that separate? So like Neshama sheli barbour. I'm like Baravour? Like okay. Barbour, okay. Barbour. We'll get my R's together after we get the T's together. Neshama shel drakon. Shel drakon. Like, okay. Okay. So you're saying that won't catch on.
Bleep,
Okay. Well,
bleep, bleep,
I got my H is gone here. There's literally no frication. I have the L here. First syllable, lipagesh.
bleep, ליפגש, ליפגש,
Sort of a not a for me, as in like bed, and not quite up to the nucleus for like say or a or something like that. A. And I see Einaim Sheli. Anything with Sheli is feminine. Okay, okay, how do I say something nice to my wife while sounding really manly and masculine while doing it? Do I say like Chaim Sheli? Or like what's a good one? I gotta learn how to sweet talk Motek. Sweet talk Motek. Zevel, this does need to be in a beatbox. Just I'll record myself saying Chaim Shali, and then have my producer friend produce it. We'll make a beat. Shali is mine, not feminine. Okay. Yeah, of me, like Shali. Yeah. But like, man, we're having some conflicting answers here. You guys, who knew that Hebrew speakers might disagree about things? Dan, hey. All right, so let's, what I would do is just Chaim works by itself. I like it. Okay, so Lorem Ipsum is saying skip the Sheli, just Chaim, Neshama. I think I let me know in the comments if that's accurate for all of you. If you think that sounds better, if I look at my wife and I say neshama, right? Dan, the question was, what are some pet names in Hebrew? And I've seen Chaim Sheli, Neshama Sheli, Motek. And the question was, one, first of all, what are more? And two, does the Chaim Sheli, Neshama Sheli, does that sound more feminine? And there's a suggestion that I can say Chaim and Neshama without the Sheli, and it's more, manly. So, I don't know. I gotta construct a macho identity in my Hebrew language use. So I see others agreeing. Friend calls his wife Ahuva Sheli. Yeah, Ahuva Sheli. I like it. All right. Ahuva Chaviva. Okay. I'm thinking through this. Okay. Chaim and Neshama. So far, so good. And I like this because it's like Jonam, Mushmusham. Motek. It's just on the first syllable. Motek. Okay. Matok. Motek. All right. So language points. Find out how somebody is. You ask Mashlomcha and Mashlomech. This is where Hebrew, there's a couple of exceptions to what seems like a pattern for like masculine and feminine, and they all happen in this chapter. So one of them is these suffixes for second person. For speakers of European languages, we just really want shlomcha to be feminine, and it's the other way around. Mashlomcha is masculine, mashlomech is feminine, and it's really hard for us. Same thing with some of the numbers look a little weird. Ahuva, chaviva, okay. Mashlomcha, okay. I see. Motek, okay. And Don, what is this for the little brothers? Can you transliterate that for me? I know we've established nobody even knows Nikud. Yeah. Zevel, thank you. Always appreciated. And I'll wrap up in a little while, but you can always catch it on the replay if you want. So we have, one hopes you get the answer Tov Todah, which I've never heard. Mashlomech, Mashlomcha. Then they move on to inseparable prepositions. So ba and la are attached to definite nouns. The ha is dropped. I'm getting a lot of texts from Chaim Sheli. I don't know why. Oh, that's not even... Okay. It's a group text. So ba and la attached to definite nouns. The hey is dropped, and the lamed and beit are pronounced ba and la. So that is coalescence, is what it's usually referred to as. And again, h is just disappearing. So in an office, b'misrad. In the office, b'misrad. So this is literally the vowel is doing all the work, which is kind of cool. I like that. It's very different from English. Or at least feels that way at first glance. Note NB, nota bene. So we got a little Latin in here just for fun. Our third inseparable preposition from me, which is just a mem, does not contract when combined with ha. So me, ha, misrad, and they use apostrophes here just to indicate that they're prefixes and suffixes and so on. So b'malon sheraton. We got some time words: aboker, alayla, ayom, ashvua, achodesh, Hashana. And I hope I'm saying those all right by not actually saying the hey as an H. Hamudi. Hamud. I need to increase the font size in the first place because I didn't even... So Hamud. Hamudi. Okay. Hamudi. Hamudi. Okay. Hamudi, like the Arabic, probably Hamudi. Zevel, if you're still watching, you said you wish I would stream sooner. Everything, I'm not in charge. It's all about nap time. It's about when nap time is, and as you know, Hatinoket grows and changes, nap time changes too. All right, so aboker, alayla, ayom, ashavua, erev, laila, tzicharayim, ayom, ashavua, hachodesh, hashana. So they're just giving you time words here. And then there's an exercise, making an appointment. Notice with these books, if you're using these books, they add new words in the exercises. You have to do all the exercises. Shavua. Otherwise, it sounds like shvua, yeah, like an oath. So let's see. They've added kol here, all. And they've added achar kach, which, I mean, if you were unclear on why I was saying that I like Hebrew for the same reasons I like Klingon, this should clarify that. If I didn't clarify it now, then I'll clarify it achar kach. So I'm not so sure. That's lo batuach. So new words in the exercises. It is worth being aware of that. I'm going to say the a in there, not hasvua. Got it. Putting the accent on the wrong syllable. Got it. Thank you. Yeah. So let's do this right. Let me learn it. Hashavua. And they even have it. Look at this. They have a little accent there to tell me to do that. Aboker, alayla, ayom, ashavua, achodesh, hashana. Okay. Achar kach would be better with accentuation. Okay. I love live streaming this. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about live streaming language study, and frankly, getting real-time answers from native speakers, and then also being able to talk linguistics and do some spectrogram stuff. This is great. So possible or not possible, efshar and efshar, efshar. The aleph is just there. My understanding is that indicates the word starts with a vowel. It's not actually doing any consonant business there. So Peter asks, efshar lipagesh, can we meet? So it's sort of an impersonal, is it possible kind of thing. And the answer is efshar. So we're learning different kinds of negation. So it's not lo efshar, it's efshar. Logan says nap time is whenever the 2-year-old finally passes out on the floor. I think that, give us some time and we'll get there. Okay, Hebrew infinitive begins with lamed, to, as in English. That's one way of thinking about it. It's kind of a weird connection to make, but I like it. Okay. And then we have a bunch of words here. To see, le'ot, to write, lichtov, to think, lachshov, to visit, levaker. And these apostrophes are they shouldn't really be there. To go or walk, lalechet. And this is what I mean. So with the pa'al verbs, even just looking at the infinitives, this is a complicated set of phonological processes that make it like more complicated than other verb forms. Um, Cheryl, you said, how do you get feedback on pronunciation? One is I like to use, when I'm not doing this, I like to use italki. They're not sponsoring me right now, but they do sometimes sponsor me. And it's great. It's one-on-one. You can talk, people with classes. You can also go to shul, find the native Hebrew speaker, and bother them. But italki, they actually want to be there and talk to us. I see discussion of whether the aleph is there or is not there, and often not there. Although like lirot is sometimes actually there, right? As like a syllable initial in the middle of a word kind of thing. Lichtov, lachshov, levaker, lalechet. This is like I said, there's a very, I think there's an underlying very simple pattern which a verb like lisgor follows perfectly. There's historical reasons why you get these sort of reductions and changes in places, but pretty much every single one of these is either an exception or, in one case, pretty sure this is a PL verb and not a PAL verb, levaker. So just as you're learning Hebrew, it's like you get thrown a lot of stuff. Let's see, what am I missing? Levaker is a PL verb. Exactly. Okay. And then spectrograms are the best. Yes, they are. Love it whenever I find a grammar that has spectrograms in the phonology chapter. Yes. Those are so rare. Can you, Logan, are there any that you can recommend? Because I don't think I've seen any of that. Maybe I have one for Mandarin that does sometimes, but I think most of them that I have don't do that. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Nishama? Still, okay. Still talking to our mutual friend. Keep thinking I'm getting an urgent alert. If you're into the specific forms of word, it's the binyanim, and then you can conjugate each root. Yeah, I think I'm gonna make an infographic like PDF that people can download, like a free resource, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but I really think that there's a very simple, elegant underlying pattern, and then with Pa'al verbs in particular, there's like probably 10 or 12. I think I wrote it down, like worked it out, and it was like 12 different phonological rules that all apply. And they all apply in sequence. And so you can get them all in a word, and you get all of these seeming exceptions that make it really hard to memorize. So somebody asked me before, what's the hardest part of Hebrew for a native English speaker? For me, in particular, it has been the, memorizing like the infinitives of Pa'al verbs, honestly, until I figured out that system. And same thing like remembering first person singular future prefix if it's, A or E, depending on the verb. Just little stuff like that because it's so different. So let's see, we have seret, we have fax, that's a freebie, and besheket, bevakasha. So quiet, quiet, quiet. I see ASB is A-OK said, OMG, don't get me started on why the vowels change. I love Hebrew for the Rube Goldberg contraption-y aspect. Some letters can't follow certain vowels, so the preceding vowel is lengthened or changed. Yes, and if you're familiar with biblical Hebrew, there's the rule of schwa, which is something, or shva, I guess we should say, which is something that I think explains a lot of what's going on with Pa'al infinitives, but we don't necessarily think about it that way. So there's this whole thing about like, two syllables can't have a schwa one after another. And if you do have that, then you end up with E in the first syllable and, nothing in the second. It's a whole thing. I'm gonna just make a chart that starts with like a simple thing and then explains all the different like ways that these interact and just get into like layers. Maybe I'll do like an iceberg, the Hebrew Pa'al conjugation iceberg. So we're coming up on time, but I want to learn some more words, or at least see a few more words. Let's see. So shuv again. When the Ukraine war kicked off, so for those of you with that on your bingo card for this session, you can go ahead and stamp that one. I saw on the sidewalks on the Upper West Side spray painted with the colors of the Ukrainian flag, so gold on bottom, blue on top, lo in blue, and shuv in gold. And remember reading that and saying, okay, this is shuv, never again, or not again. So that's my mnemonic for it. I actually, whenever I see shuv or think shuv, I actually visibly, like I see the spray painted lo shuv, which is kind of that's my own quirk, I guess. Let's see. Oh, John, you're excited to catch one live. I'm glad you're here. All right. Let's see. Somebody said I just started on one on gumuz. I have no idea what that is. Gumuz is the language. I'm like, is that an app for doing a for doing an infographic? Yeah. Gumuz. I see. If I'm talking biblical, then it's shwa. Yeah, exactly. The wow instead of the vav. So okay, again, shuv, ktovet. Again, I like looking at the vocabulary first. I would dump all these into an Anki deck and then dump all the sentences in as well. So ktovet, kotev, those are related, right? A little righty dude is an address. Tzodek, I guess is to be correct. Like a tzaddik is usually tzodek. And let's see, choshevet, so she thinks. I skipped bli. There's something going on with bli that I'm going to have to ask people about. So biladi or bli, like there's what's the deal with pronoun suffixes there? If you know what I'm asking, please answer my question. So I see toda rabba, I see tzarich, ani tzarich, hi tzricha. Number, mispar, which is related to cutting, to dividing, to counting. So that's cool because you're like cutting the world, cutting the number line into numbers. We have esrim, we have shalosh. They're just getting numbers at random here before they teach the whole thing. And then rachok, which is very hard for a native English speaker to say. Rachok, tachana, me'od karov. So I'm going to maybe not do the dialogue here, but I want to go look at the numbers because I think this is really interesting. Notice, again, like in the exercises, they're introducing new vocabulary. This was really frustrating for me the first time that I learned this, like use this textbook, and now I really like their approach. It's just you have to do all the exercises. So she is that, who, which. It's a relative, super easy. You don't have to memorize a bunch of different ones. There's no whom and, whatever. Like French, it depends on if it's the subject or the object of the relative clause. Like, you don't have to worry about that here. So, and we have example sentences, which maybe they'll say. I hope they say these. Yeah, they have it in the audio. So we're probably going to hear them say, Hayutonai shemedeber, I can't even say it. Hayutonai shemedeber, batelefon mevaker bakibutz. The journalist who is speaking on the phone works on the kibbutz. So, I'm literally not even going to touch the roots and the present tense today because I want to spend more time on it later. What I do want to do is go look at the numbers because this is bananas. Oh, what I will say, first of all, present tense. So they have like lachshov, which is to think. They choshev, choshevet, choshvim, choshvot. This developed in modern Hebrew. It developed out of the gerund or the participle, like one of those not like conjugations for aspect, because historically it was aspect, not tense. And by, I believe, the medieval period, these were being used for like the present tense, like present progressive. So, about 500 years old, which is relatively new in the grand scheme of things in terms of Hebrew. And I just think that's a cool thing. What's really cool about it is that Yiddish borrows words where they then use like to be as the auxiliary for like what looks like the present in Hebrew, but it historically was like the gerund, like to be agreeing, for instance, is one where like it looks like it's what's now the present in Hebrew, but Yiddish developed 500 years before this change happened in Hebrew, which happened 500 years before today. And there's this kind of interesting interplay. I see biladai is without me, biladi exclusively. That's what I was thinking. So the ein, so bli is without, and then it's like bilad, and then the suffix, right? Bilad. Can I say like bilad? biladech, like without you, lady. Is that it? Let me know if I can say that. And I'll wrap up with numbers today. That's what I'm going to look at because numbers are bananas. So I will follow up for another video with a historical linguist colleague of mine who at one point explained this to me. So David Wilson, probably not watching, but Dr. Wilson, if you are watching, hello. And I'm going to ask you again about this. The masculine looks like you would think it would be feminine because it has an a suffix, which across the language a lot of things do, except for the second person masculine, like pronominal suffix. And so what you have is this thing that for speakers of European languages, very, very hard. It's counterintuitive, and is a challenge because I want arba'a, chamisha, shisha, shiva, shmona, tisha, asara to be feminine, and they're not. And so it's like it just has to be memorized. It takes longer. I can show you when I first tried to study this. These were the Anki cards that I just kept having to study over and over and over again. So numbers have masculine and feminine forms. What that means is that numbers are kind of like adjectives. There's a great book on linguistic typology by Bernard Comrie that kind of blew my mind when I first read this, where different languages, numbers behave differently and different numbers behave differently. So in Russian, for instance, one is pure adjective. It agrees for masculine, feminine, neuter. Like it is an adjective. And a million is purely a noun. So it takes genitive case marking instead of the sort of adjectival agreement in the appropriate case. So it's really an interesting thing. Languages, just across languages, they will sometimes treat numbers in different ways, where like lower numbers are more adjective-y and higher numbers are more noun-y. And this is something that happens here. So in Hebrew, the numbers 1 through 10, they agree with the noun that they modify in gender, but it is looks like it's the opposite gender. It's not. There's a historical reason that for why these developed this way and why these look this way, which I do not for the life of me remember. But the point is here that shlosha, arba'a, chamisha, those are not feminine. And they developed historically for sort of an interesting reason. Dani mentioned this. It does happen as well in Arabic. And so, you see that. Now notice, ephes, which is kind of a new invention. Again, we're thinking in like a broad time scale. That doesn't behave like an adjective, right? Like that is just ephes. And it's kind of the same in English. Like I have none of them. I have, I guess they're all kind of nouny in English. So the feminine, achat, shtaim, and there's a little footnote here, shalosh, arba, chamesh, shesh, sheva, shmone, tesha, eser. And then the masculine, and you just got to memorize these. Ephes, echad, shnaim, shlosha, arba'a, chamisha, shisha, shiva, shmona, tisha, asara. And when accompanying nouns, shtei and shnei are used. So shtaim is nouny on its own. And shtei is kind of looks a lot like a construct state, like two nouns in in formation, baby bnei or something. So 2 books, Shnei Svarim. That's the example. Now there's they should have. Let's see numbers. When counting, giving a telephone number, a bus or street number, or telling the time, the feminine form is used. So what this means is feminine is default, right? These are the times that you use numbers. When are the other times? So the elsewhere condition, when this is all the different things, counting, phone number, bus or street number, telling the time, use the feminine. When you're just talking about numbers, or rather, when you're just talking about numbers, you use the feminine. When it has to agree with a noun and the noun is masculine, that's when you use the masculine. Now, in a later lesson, we're going to see above 10, and it gets into this very mind-bending territory where it's like opposite gender, and the gender isn't the gender that it looks like, and it's very, very confusing. Numbers in Hebrew have made me, more open-minded about gender than basically anything else, because it's just a lot. So I see Sefer Echad, one book, but Shnei Sfarim for two. Yeah, one, the word order changes as well. So if it's one, it follows. So numbers are just their own thing. I always am, I find numbers, just whatever language I'm studying, it just feels like a burden. And I have to try to get myself excited about numbers because we want to be like, you need to be able to use numbers when you're speaking a language, but like, it's really boring. And like, it always feels like it's this burden. And then you go out in the world and it turns out like you use numbers all the time. Like you can't get away from it. You want to take a bus, you want to buy something, like you need to understand numbers. It's like the number one most important thing that you actually need in actually like managing language. You like saying greetings and leave taking and being able to politely ask for something, and then numbers, which is why it's chapter 3 here. But it's just so tedious, at least to me. I don't know. You can let me know if you disagree and you find this really exciting in whatever languages you're learning. So I try to find the interesting part of this. Now, a lot of these too, if you were Jewish, there's all sorts of things that tie into numbers that are going to make it easier. So like, especially once we get into the difference between ordinal and cardinal and ordinal numbers. But like, Shmini Atzeret is a thing. Shiva is a thing. So these are you're going to see all sorts of things here. Echad, kind of an important word. So like, there's things that you can hook this onto. Tisha B'Av, which I'm definitely not saying like it's modern Hebrew. But yeah. Let's see. Still discussing Yeshalosh. Yeah. So this is kind of a weird thing, but it's just memorizing. And the main thing is the feminine is default. And that's kind of tricky for native English speakers or speakers of European languages because you want the feminine to be default because it looks like the default, but you also want it to be the masculine form because it doesn't have a suffix. And it's just not. So that's my rant about the numbers. I think that's about... I see a lot of Israelis mess up the gender of numbers. Not learning it properly might actually make you sound more native. I have heard that. And there's a question. So native, like what is... Maybe there's a change in progress happening with native speakers. There's also, you have... over the years, there's influxes of people from various places. So like Soviet Union, just, there's various waves of immigration where I'm wondering to what extent that affects things like, what native speakers infer. But it could be just an organic change. And it seems like the kind of change that would happen where kids would just make that leap because feminine words end in ah. And so you want, the agreement to kind of look like it's the thing that it's agreeing with. So it's kind of a very weird thing. I will try to be aware of how native speakers will speak, but I'm also going to try to sound like an educated, sophisticated foreigner, because that's what I can aim for. That seems realistic as a matara. So I'm being texted Neshama, thank you, Toda Rabba, from my Neshama to say don't forget. To say like and subscribe. If you're commenting, you've subscribed. But yeah, like and subscribe. Watch my videos. If you haven't watched, so I'm about to leave. If you haven't watched it, I just dropped a video where I talk about the paradox of wokeness, which is not what you think because I'm a linguist and I'm talking about language. I left room for an ad read that didn't materialize, and so I do play some music on there. Somebody last week was asking about my music, my history as a musician, because I worked for 10 years as a musician, just about 10 years before grad school, and obviously still play and so on. So I threw a little music at the end just for fun. I had a producer friend of mine put together a beat and played some stuff over it. So if you like music, go check it out. If you don't like music, watch the first half of the video and you'll know when the when the song's kicking in. But yeah, you can also let me know if you want more or a whole lot less of that. I'll figure that out. It's 4:30. I wanted to make this quick and easy, and I am expecting a delivery after 4:30 at some point. So I'm going to say toda rabba. And I don't have a lot of ways of saying. I had so many in Farsi. I was saying motshakara, merci, all these things. Khayli mamnun. All I have is toda rabba and litraot. So thank you all. We're going to have, I think, some fun in the next couple of weeks. And in the meantime, be kind to one another. If you're celebrating a holiday today, have a good one. And look forward to seeing all of you either tomorrow or hopefully, possibly, tomorrow or next week. So, toda rabba, litraot, yalla, bye.